for the first time in a week, because we were at Big 12 Pro Days last week, and Tuesday became kind of a cavalcade of like shit we had to do. And then like Royden couldn't be here, and because Baylor women's basketball had a press conference like right in the middle of our show. So Pierre, back to back, hosting the Triple Option with me. Something that's only happened one other time, and that was 2 weeks ago when Steven Simcox did the same thing after I went Wednesday to Wednesday. But things have been weird scheduling-wise around here.
Well,
Very weird.
It's good to see you in the chair, my man. It's
good
to see you back.
It's good. It's good to be back. Pierre, we had a big weekend of basketball.
Yep.
If you're a fan of Cinderella, she was murdered.
Yeah.
She's the subject of a true crime documentary now. What happened to Cinderella? There's going to be people sitting around, and there's one double-digit seed, which is John Calipari's team. So the only double-digit seed underachieved all year until this point. So that's a little distressing, and I hope not a harbinger of what's to come. But this has happened other times before NIL and the portal and all this. But I get nervous when I see it happen, because if this is how it's going to be, and then they're going to make this thing 76 teams, they will have actually ruined the best thing they did.
Yeah, and I'm so glad that you're starting the show with this, because I made a mental note because I saw this tweet late last night. I wanted to read it on this show. Tweet from a man by the name of Mark Purdy, who used to write for the San Jose Mercury News back in the day, longtime writer for the San Jose Mercury News, who tweeted out yesterday. Hold on, I had it right here just a sec. He tweeted out, so it turns out all the Sweet 16 teams are from Power Four football conferences, which possesses the most NIL money. Are the days of lower-tier true Cinderella teams like Loyola or George Mason making a big tournament run over for good? And I read it and I said, oh, man, I'm not even sure I even thought about it in the moment. In the moment of watching games all weekend long, I didn't even think about it in the moment. But now that I saw that in front of my eyes the other day, and I thought to myself, oh, boy, in the land of unintended consequences, could we have possibly ruined what makes this tournament so much fun and so great?
We might. Look, I think basketball is unique in that all it takes is one Steph Curry to get overlooked, or just a ragtag team of guys like St. Peter's. That was just a few years ago.
Yeah,
it's a different kind of a thing. Now, will you see a team like St. Peter's go back-to-back years? Will you see? No, and that never really happens anyway. I don't want to get out over our skis, but when you see 7 teams from one conference into the Sweet 16, that's distressing to me in the fact that this conference would not have had 7 teams to get in if we hadn't gone through realignment, which, the unintended consequences of realignment are we've got these big, gigantic conferences that are kind of good and kind of bad. There's certain, Craig's talked about this a lot. They are trying to get you to notice that, whoa, hey, Texas and Alabama will play more. Ooh, Oklahoma and Florida. Oh, wow. That's really something. Vanderbilt versus Mississippi State still exists.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, my God. Oregon and Ohio State. Oh, dear. Oh, my gosh. That's for regular season? Penn State's going to play USC in the regular, and it's weighted. Oh, my gosh. It's the conference. Oh, wow. You still have Northwestern versus Iowa that no one watches,
Right.
And so, yeah, you've got all this. It's all okay, this is cool, which is actually one of the reasons that I think we enjoy covering the Big 12.
I've got some huge news. We have officially found the unlock to optimizing performance for young athletes. Now, for the past 15 years, I've been training quarterbacks, tons of camps, tons of college and NFL players. But for the last 3 years, my team and I have been on a mission to solve the questions that I was getting about what should young athletes, in particular athletes with developing bodies, what should they be consuming? I came to the conclusion that I think nutrition is actually the number one opportunity as an athlete that you have to make an impact on all the work that you're putting in. Speaking directly to the parents, this is probably the number one opportunity you have to make a huge impact on all the work and effort and resources that you've been putting in to give your young athlete an opportunity to chase their dreams. We've created Thread Performance to solve that problem. We're launching this summer with a suite of products that are absolutely going to change the game for your development. This is just the beginning of our mission to revolutionize sports nutrition specifically for young athletes. Give @Thread Performance a follow. The link in the bio, there's an opportunity to sign up for the waiting list and be the first to grab yours.
Because for the most part, the Big 12s, I don't know if this was intended or unintended, but there's not going to be, at least in the short term, and the way that things are going, there's not going to be these long stretches of oh, well, crap, Oklahoma State and Iowa State, that game's going to suck. Well, it might suck in 2024. In 2025, that game might be the balls, man. It might be amazing. But I can tell you that long term that, there's games in all these other conferences. The ACC is one of them. And they were bloated before this even happened, but Stanford versus Wake Forest isn't getting anybody excited. No. And that's in any sport. It's in anything. I'm not just talking about football here or basketball, but the things in the Big 12 are said to be pretty cyclical. And look, the Big 12 has Tech and BYU and Arizona and Houston. They've got 4 teams into the Sweet 16, and that's great. Only one of them, though, was an original Big 12 team, and that's Texas Tech. Yeah. And look, the Big 12 in and of itself is not even the original conference that it was when it was the Big 8. One of the teams, Colorado, was an original Big 8 team, an original Big 12 team, then went to the Pac and now came back. All this is this is where realignment has really hurt us. And then they're going to tell me they want 76 teams in. Well, so if this year 76 teams would have gotten in, the only team that would have been a true Cinderella would have been Boise State. The other teams would have been West Virginia, who should have been in over Texas anyway. It would have been Ohio State, who, again, they're spending so much money on football, they've not spend as much on basketball, but they still had a winning record. And so you're going to get teams from the Big 10, Big 12, and SEC most of the time. And look, the 2 teams in the SEC that didn't make it, South Carolina was NIT eligible and decided not to go, and LSU, who was so bad it hurt. What are we doing here? And then you're just going to do it so that Ohio State and West Virginia and get in. You're not going to do it so that a team like Manhattan, and I say that a little biased because John Gallagher, their coach, is a friend of ours, but they came in second in their league. They were 24-8. They came in second in the conference tournament. They're going to be a one-bid league forever. 76 isn't putting their team in. What if the conference winner is 30-2 and they're 29-3? Well, they played the same schedule. They just lost to that team at the end. Right. All this, let's do more. It's a very American thing. We do it, this because you've been in TV your whole career, and you've walked down the halls of a Fox station and an NBC station and whatever, and you just see a spinoff, year 11 of this show. And in England, they're yeah, we do 3 seasons. We write the beginning, middle, and the end right all together, and then we just shoot it, and then it's over. That's it. And if we do another thing, it's kind of a different, it might be the same people, but it's a totally different storyline. There's new this, and then here in America, we're no. I don't want just a foot-long sandwich. I want triple meat on that sandwich. I want all of this stuff, and we're going to stuff it full of it. And then in sports, we're bigger. Let's just go bigger. When we have the perfect size, we had it. 64 was the perfect size meal. The perfect size meal. Hey, what about if we just add a little bit, if there's an appetizer of the first 4 games? Okay. Well, like an appetizer can't hurt you. Like, no, now we're going, screw your appetizer. Guess what? You're getting a salad bar, soup, salad, and bread, all you can throw down, and the gigantic meal you were having. So either, buck up to the table or shut your mouth. Like, that's kind of how it goes. And I'm not sure I enjoy it as much.
I think the phrase you're looking for is quantity over quality.
Yes.
And that has been abundant. And I'm glad you brought up the TV side, stuff like that. I see it all the time in television, and now you're seeing it in sports. I've been seeing it on a constant basis, I feel like, for 2 decades now. Mm-hmm. We are obsessed with quantity over quality. And when it comes to quantity, I know when you try to provide somebody more and more of something, you, as the person providing these things, are constantly trying to monetize off of what you're trying to quantify. I get it from a business perspective. I totally get it. But where is the adult in the room that could maybe put greed on hold for just one moment so we could appreciate what we have in the moment? This is something that I've seen on a constant basis, like I said, for the last better part of 2 decades, probably even longer, because I didn't even pay attention to it before that, I'll have to admit. But you said it perfectly. 64 teams, that was the magic number. Not one person, not one single person. You couldn't find one person on the street that if you went up to them and said, hey, how do we tweak the men's NCAA tournament to make it even better? In the year 2002, for example, how do we tweak it to make it better? I cannot possibly imagine you wouldn't find somebody that would say, oh, well, we should add 4 teams. We should add 12 teams. We should, heck, maybe let's double the size of it. And every single person you talk to would say, the hell are you talking about? It's the most perfect format in all of sports, not just college sports, in all of sports. It's the best thing going. Why on earth would you touch it? It's not broken. Why are we trying to fix it?
You can walk into your office with one piece of paper, copy it as many times as you need, hand it out to everybody, and have a contest. And here's the thing the first 4 pisses me off about, as a person who loves doing a bracket.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. So now I have to do the first, thankfully it's on the internet, but you don't even pick the first 4. No, you just pick based on that. Well, that's not even over until no. I'm going to tell you right now, if you put me in charge of the NCAA, the first thing I'm going to do is listen, guys, I'm sorry. The first 4's out. What we're going to do is we're going to enhance conference tournaments, and we're going to make it we're going to make that part of it. We're going to make it really enriched so that the conference tournaments actually do mean something to every league, and not just well, we're in Kansas City, 8 of these teams are going. Maybe 1 will if they win it. We're here in Nashville. 12 teams from the SEC are definitely going to go. So if Texas falls ass backwards into a win, we're gonna let them go to the tournament because that's going to show something. And they go in the first 4 and lose and fire their coach. Was that an NCAA tournament team? No, it wasn't. It was not. And I'm not just picking on Texas here, but they're the avatar of this year's. Really? Did you make the tournament better? Granted, that game against Xavier was fun, and it had the added intrigue of basically Chris Del Conte went over Sean Miller and goes, "Don't go back."
Yeah.
I know you're right down the road. I know you're right down the road, but we have this bitchin' jet.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's just, I don't know. And again, I'm not one of these people who is bemoaning the downfall of college sports, but I do think that we're overstuffing things, and we've gotten, the more corporate it gets, corporate people are not artisans, right? They buy what artisans make, and then they make it at large scale, right?
Sure.
So when you start doing that, I'm pretty sure, and I'm a big fan of Starbucks, but I'm pretty sure if there was just one Starbucks, it would taste unique. Now, I've never been to a Starbucks that tastes any different than other. And that's good that they have the same quality, but not unique.
Yeah.
McDonald's isn't unique, and we have something that's unique, and we're turning it into here it is. Boom, let's overstuff it. Let's make it kind of boring. That's the other thing. It's going to be kind of boring if you have that. Like, there's going to be a lot of games. If you put to 76, man, the first round games and 76 teams, how boring. Awful.
It feels like you said, it feels so weak and watered down. And like you said, with the first four, I'm like you. I still hate the first four. The fact that I have to wait until Wednesday night to fill out my bracket to see who's going to be in the actual field of 64. It's like, okay, this is the real field now. Now I can fill it out instead of used to being able to fill it out on Monday and then scratching it all out and filling out another one on Tuesday and then saying, okay, here's the real one. Here's the surefire winner on Wednesday night, only to last minute change it on Thursday morning and find out that I shouldn't have changed it to begin with. I mean, I miss those old days. If I'm looking at men's college basketball right now, I know we have all of the measurements, the quad one wins, the non-conference schedules and all that stuff to measure our teams. As we were talking, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking to myself, is there a way to maybe not shorten the conference schedule, but like if you shorten the conference schedule and expand the conference tournaments to 2 weeks and have some kind of point-tiered system like European soccer or something to kind of make it a little more spicy going into March and having maybe, I know you and I were talking about last week, you don't want to overemphasize the importance of victories in the conference tournament. Like, if you went 19-13 in the season and, you win your opening game, you're like a 7 seed in the Big 12 tournament, you're a 7 seed, you win the opening game, and then suddenly maybe you beat the 2 seed or the 1 seed in the tournament to get a big win, and then you lose the following game. Does that really make you conference, or does that make you national tournament worthy? I don't know. I know that there's a conversation that needs to be had about that, but I'm thinking out loud, the college basketball regular season to the average fan is a slog. There's not a lot of people tuning in on a regular nightly basis outside of those traditional fan bases for nationally televised men's college basketball. So I would like to see I'm less concerned about the tournament. I want people to focus less on the tournament and more about the in-season product, to be honest with you, to spice it up a little bit.
Well, one of the things that college basketball needs to do is it starts too early.
Yeah.
Like, starting when it does is ridiculous. It's just they're right in the middle of the best part of football season. And you're like, hey, by the way, and sometimes they start on Friday nights, which now is a football night, a college football night.
Yeah.
It's not a good setup. It's not a good setup. I think college basketball should start after Thanksgiving. Bottom line. And if that means that March Madness now becomes April Madness, fine.
I think people could live with that. They'll be okay. We love the tradition of calling it March Madness, but I think people can get used to let's slide it a month.
Look, it would still start in March, but it would end later in April. So all this could work out in a branding sense. Like the Super Bowl moved back, and I don't know, I'm not sure that was necessarily the best thing, but as far as the fans go, but it's worked out for the NFL. I think that if you moved it back and started, you're going to have some overlap, but if you start after Thanksgiving, then you're not every single team does not have college football games. There's only a few games on. You're only competing with the playoff. You have the middle of the week to really capitalize on in all of that to get some lead up to it. I think that would be better. I do. I think they started later. Look, the Big 12 was going to less conference games because more hurt them this year.
Yeah.
It hurt them.
Yeah.
And bottom line, it hurt them. So if you take 2 of those away, yes, in a 16-team league to only have 18 conference games, it's going to suck in the fact that there's going to be some games that are buzzer beater, 1 possession games that aren't going to get a return trip, which used to be the coolest thing about the Big 12 and their true round robin was all right, they beat you at home on a buzzer beater. Now they're coming to your place. Well, you only get 2 of those now. And, some years that means we're going to get 2 Kansas Houstons. Some years that we're going to get 2 Arizona Baylors and 2, Tech versus BYUs. And other years you're going to get, 2 Utah versus Arizona States. It's just how it's going. I'm just using this year as an example of that's how the conference would have shaken out. But yeah, I just think that like these bloated conferences are showing. And look, the ACC has a really bloated conference, and the only team that is in the Sweet 16 from the ACC is Duke, and Duke lives like that's their baseline acceptable season is Sweet 16.
Yeah, and I was watching the game last night between Arizona and Oregon, and I would say, in my mind, I was the Jim Nance. I was like, "Hello, old friend,"
Yeah.
and, like, good to see you again. And I'm thinking to myself, boy, I miss those Pac-12 games. The Pac-12 was a great basketball conference. With all the teams that it had, it was a great basketball conference. And I don't really mean to open up like more of an extended conversation about the subject in general, but when it comes to men's college basketball, we all love March. We love when the conference tournament starts. We love the national tournament. Everybody loves that. But like I was saying just a moment ago, everything leading up to that, how much do we really love? And in the quality of the product, I had a friend of mine the other day who said to me, I can't get into the national tournament because I'm just not that into men's college basketball, because compared to the NBA, and I know that that's a hard comparison, it's not a good product. I mean, and I have to tend to agree a little bit. I don't find the product to be as good as it used to be 20, 30 years ago. I think there's a lot of teams that recruit guys who suddenly can't shoot. As a men's Division I college basketball team, and a game, I should say,
yeah,
you should not be scoring fewer than 70, 75 points a night. When there are games that are finishing 65, 63, 65, 70, or in the 50s and stuff like that, that's not an entertaining product. It's not. It's a hard sell, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like we're living the consequences of realignment right now. Some of it's good, some of it's bad. And I mean, look, next year we can have Marquette, which make it to the finals. We could have a lot of different teams happen. It's just this year is one of those ones that's like, meh. All right, well, we're certainly feeling, especially when 14 teams from one league get in. Like, yeah. What do you from the richest league or one of the richest leagues get in? It just stings a little bit. Pierre, there are several coaching changes that we need to go over. One of which you're going to have to go. I'm assuming you're going to go to that press conference tomorrow.
I think there is. Yeah, there's a press conference I believe scheduled for tomorrow. I'm not sure if I'll be at that one or not because PJ Fleck and his Gophers have spring practice tomorrow, so I might be at that. I might hit them both. Who knows?
Yeah,
I might be there.
But Nico Medved on his way back to his alma mater from Colorado State. And then we also have to talk about something, Pierre. I think we have a rule in basketball that now mirrors the confusion around a rule in football. And or two. I'm gonna say there's two in football. We have targeting and what a catch is, and we've gotten a little better on a catch, and we don't know what it is. I'm not sure that we all know what traveling is.
Oh, gosh.
And Nico Medved, even though he's on his way to his alma mater, is wondering the same thing. Do I not know what traveling is, or do the three officials in this game not know what traveling is? One of us doesn't, and it will kill me till the day I die which one of us didn't know what it was. We're going to talk about that as well. But big coaching hires. Iowa hired a guy that Smokey and I just interviewed a week ago, and Ben McCollum from Drake. Sean Miller to Texas is the biggest one probably, but Nico Medved to Minnesota. Am I leaving one out, Garrett?
I mean, if you want to count Will Wade to NC State,
Will Wade to NC State, that's official now. He's on his way there.